Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks. And yeah, today finally I'm going to have a go at doing the map tactics video. Not well, let's just see. I've got pretty much confidence in what I think how this sort of level should be played. But I've started off with Prokhorovka because it's, in my mind, one of the easier ones for the tactics. So I'm going to try and give some tips and try and work things out a little bit, and I'll basically do the best I can. And if you think I'm completely wrong or I'm just talking shit, then I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments. So let's get on with it. I'm going to move down to the southern spawn, because this is one of the bits I want to talk about first. So we've got it on the standard battle. I will try and cover encounter as well. But from the southern spawn, you've got a few options. Basically, you can go over to the east towards the hill, which a lot of people call Potato Hill. And in some respects, I agree with that. In others, I don't agree with that at all. And I think that hill is actually quite important, but I think there's certain tanks that should sort of head up that way. You can go over to the west, which is down here. We'll go and look at the hill in a minute. But you can go over to the west down here. Now, this has been altered slightly a couple of updates ago. This got dropped down. And the road is a little bit higher now. And we've also got buildings down this western strip as well, which do provide a bit of cover, because it used to be that there'd be tank destroyers and everything else sat up that end. And as soon as anybody got spotted down here, they would be torn to shreds in a hail of fire. Now, if you're in a light tank, there are a few spotting locations up here, and these bushes just on the edge of E and F1 were basically the only real spot to come and actually scout from, and you could, sort of sit in this bush a bit. Oh, try and slow it down. There we go. Right, so you could sit in this bush a bit, and from here you can see down there. You get a fairly decent view out onto the middle of the field as well. And depending on your view range, you would have been able to do quite well spotting. However, it is quite an obvious spotting location. It did used to be pretty much the only bush up here. But it's still, still a viable spotting location. You can also spot from in and around those houses with the foliage down there. But from there, you'd only really be able to spot further up this thin strip on the western side of the road, rather than in the middle of the field, because of the road. Now, and before we do that, that really kind of counts from both sides, starting north or south. You can run up here, and up quite often you'll get tank destroyers or arty in this corner. There are a few bushes to shoot from, there is a bit of wreckage, but if you're going to be in a light tank spotting from up here, you need to get up here quick. You need to get yourself as fast as possible up to this location, hopefully before the enemy light tank does. And then fingers crossed you'll spot them, they won't see you, and they will get torn to shreds. But it is a bit of a risky manoeuvre, and that bit, like I say, it gives you a bit of spotting over the middle of the field, either end of this strip as well. But there are a few other locations if you want to do a bit more active scouting, or even, well, you're passive. You've got another bush a bit further down, and this will give you views left and right, although this is a very risky one to get to, and you're best off, if you're going to go to that one, from either side, basically using the foliage along the side of the road and trying to sneak up to it, but you're going to have to be quick. Now, middle of the field, tanks with good gun depression can do quite well in here, things like the American heavies, American mediums, but I think, to be honest, the problem with those is the sides of the turrets are quite weak. So although you can pop up and down over this ridge, and again that does count for both sides, with the sides of the turret being weak and with it being such a large area, you do leave yourself quite exposed to shots in the side of the turret. And not only are they fairly weak, they're quite big flat targets as well, so it can be tempting to come up there with that sort of thing. But it can be a bit risky as well. Like I say, with the the weaker side turrets, you're really going to have to watch what is either side of you as you come up and over. And it also gives you access across the railway tracks into the middle of the eastern side of the map as well. But we'll go and have a look at that shortly. Now, tanks that can do quite well in here, in the middle of the field, are, like I say, tanks with fairly decent gun depression. But it doesn't have to be too good, because these dips shallow out a bit as you come up and off them. So as you're coming up and over here, you don't really have to have fantastic gun depression to actually get your shots at things on the other side. And quite often I've seen high-tier Soviet mediums doing very well in the middle of the field, simply because they've got quite rounded and strong turrets, so they can take the odd hit from the side, and there's a good chance it's going to bounce, especially from range. So I'd say, yeah, anything with a really strong, good turret can do well in the middle of the field here. But that does bring up, like I say, issues, because you can get shot from that corner and from over on this side. So you do have to be careful, and you do have to have possibly a decent scout or a damn good view range, just to make sure that you're going to be safe in the middle. Now, eastern side of the railway, again, this got changed a couple of updates ago, so these are now an underpass instead of an overpass, and that was to try and eliminate camping. And we're going to cover it from the south first. Now, Potato Hill, as people like to call it. You do get a lot of people sometimes coming up here in the wrong tanks. It is an important location. You know, you cannot deny that. From here you've got quite a commanding view over the village. I think your render range is just enough to get shots the other side of the railway as well. And if you're coming from the north, obviously it gives you an overlook of the southern spawn point and cap, which is quite good. But it's harder to get to from the north, obviously, because it's further down towards the south of the map. Now, personally, in my opinion, it is worth some tanks coming up here, but I wouldn't say heavy tanks, not big, slow heavy tanks. Stuff like the Liberté, for instance, which is a very fast, mobile heavy tank. You know, it is more like a medium. That'd be fine coming up here, but you want fast tanks, not slow heavies. They're going to take ages. Not only sorry, is this soft ground? I don't think it is. Let me just drop down a minute. Oh no, it's just a bit soft ground under there. Look where the railway bridge is. But yeah, I mean, your big slow heavies, they're going to come across here, and they're going to be spending time lumbering up this hill until they finally peak over the top, and then they might be able to actually get into the fight. But if you send fast mediums or fast mobile heavies, I can't think of any others that spring to mind. You know, the Liberté, possibly the T10. That's a fairly mobile heavy. But I'd say your mediums more than anything, really. Mediums, maybe the odd scout, a couple of tank destroyers, the faster ones that can get up here and get a good position. But if you are going to come up here in a tank destroyer, you really could do with somebody coming in front of you and pushing ahead, because from the northern spawn, the back slope of this hill here, well, not the back slope, sorry, the front slope of this hill, there are a couple of good locations on here to set up ambushes. That bush, for instance, is very good for tank destroyers to sit in and have pot shots at anything coming over that hill. But again, you would need something up here spotting for you, so you know, do bear that in mind if you're in platoons, that sort of thing. Coming from the north, you have had a bit of a, again, this was a couple of days ago, you've had this channel put in, which does provide a bit of cover from flanking shots coming in from the village side and the railway, which is quite nice. Now, from the north, like I say, this is an important hill because it overlooks the southern spawn. So again, you want to get something fast over here that can get over here, get up the hill, and possibly fight on top of it. But you do have to be careful, again, flanking shots coming in from that direction. Something I do find is ignored fairly often on this map is this village, and it doesn't tend to get used, but it's not a bad location to come through sometimes with your heavies, especially if your mediums have been able to take the hill. And if you've got that hill, you can be safe from shots coming in from that side, and you can push through this village and take shots at stuff in the centre of the hill by just peeking over the railway, or you can push down here, hopefully taking out stuff over there. But it is a bit more exposed, and you don't really want to be moving into the village unless your team control this hill, and that really counts from both spawns. Now, I'm assuming, you know, there are a lot of you out there that would be watching Quickie Baby's channel as well, even though it does PC World of Tanks. And I don't know if you ever saw the one, I think it was a live stream that he did with Jingles. and they were in high tier mediums. I can't think what they were in now, but they were, you know, sort of fairly high tier mediums. And from the southern spawn, they made quite a good play, and it worked, and it makes sense. Now, it's only worth doing if you're in a platoon or you're chatting with people, and you know they will follow you. But the fast mediums, I wish I could remember what they were. But they basically came from the spawn under the bridge and nailed it straight up here, across the edge of the sort of water down there, straight through, just shooting at anything they saw on the move, and they didn't stop moving until they dropped down into this river, which gave them cover. And then from here they were able to advance across, and they'd basically cut off all that down there from the enemy team, and they managed to push through and around this way, fighting their way through to the railway, and were then putting flanking shots into the enemy team down here. Now that is a very good play. It's a very risky play, but it's a very good play as well. So if you're in top tier mediums that can take a bit of damage but are quite mobile, things like maybe the E50, that sort of thing, and you're in a platoon, or you've got some people with you that, you know, agree and are going to follow, then that is it is worth doing. But you can't stop moving until you get down into the river. But like I say, it is a bit risky, so most of us will probably not be doing that. But that's kind of, I don't know if I've just confused everybody or cleared it up or given a bit of an indication or what, but I've just sort of described a few tactics. So yeah, I'd say middle of the field, mediums or heavies, anything with, you know, good strong turrets will do well in the middle of the field, popping up and over that ridge. Your scouts, if they want to do active scouting, it is a good location to do it from, or maybe even over the railway there. A couple of fast mediums, maybe want to take this hill, but I'd probably stay away from it, like I say, in any slow heavies, that sort of thing, just because the speed again up there. But a couple of good quick mediums, maybe backed up by a tank destroyer or something, would do quite well on the hill, and it is an important location. Down on the western side of the map, I'd say realistically you probably want maybe some of your heavy tanks, the stuff with the very, very good frontal armour that can push down this strip, you know, angled a little bit, zigzagging down here, hidden hopefully for most of it from shots over on the right flank, maybe pushing down to the village, and probably the tank destroyers backing them up from a little bit further back. And I think that's about it, really. That's all I can really think of for this one. Right, so I'm just going to use the rest of this while I'm floating about, looking in different directions, to say I apologise there was no video yesterday. Made a very noob mistake. I did the XCOM video, plugging my headphones into my pad so that it wouldn't come through on the microphone. Yes, not realising that it would give me no sound on the video either, so when I went to edit it there was no sound whatsoever. So yeah, I do apologise, so that'll start next week. And also just to say, this is the first one of these that I've done. Like I said before, I'm not 100% confident in the tactics and sort of tips that I've tried to give in this, and I am very open to constructive criticism on this one. Just let me know, you know, if I've done something wrong, or there's something I could have done better or gone into a bit more. Yeah, I'm just open to constructive criticism, like I say, and I was going to be looking at possibly Ardennes next, maybe. So if anybody does have any tips or tactics or anything for Ardennes that you'd like to share, leave them in the comments, and I'll have a look at those. But until, well, in fact, yeah, it's coming to the end of the video. It's Friday, so no video tomorrow. So yeah, have a good weekend, all of you, and I'll be back with a video on Sunday. And yeah, until then, take care out there, and I will catch you next time. See you later.